Hey everybody, GC13 here. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power chronicles the rebellion of the Etherian princesses against the Horde. Now, an Etherian princess is no frail scion of idle nobility. She draws her magic from the planet itself through her connection to a runestone, and knows how to use it. Even the gentlest princess is a power to behold on the battlefield, so it makes sense that these great heroes always put themselves where the fighting is thickest. But, watching the series, you'd be forgiven for thinking that a princess wasn't just her kingdom's best military asset, she was its only asset. Plumeria is a kingdom of pacifists, so they get a pass for not having an army. Selenius, however, has no excuse. When we first visit, we see that Mermista is down to one palace guard doing double duty as a butler, with no mention of any way to put up a defense against intermittent horde attacks on the Seagate. While Double Trouble refers to its later fall as the Battle of Selenius, the chosen name and a single sunk wooden ship are all that imply that Selenius even fielded a defense. Now, Frosta's Kingdom of Snows is mentioned as having quite a sizable army, but we never see anyone but Frosta's palace guards. We do get to hear that they're barely holding back the Horde's Season 4 offensive, but it's limited to a single line of dialogue. The kingdom whose soldiers we know the most about is Brightmoon. We actually get to see a few of their soldiers. In an army camp! They fight someone! With such a sterling resume, we should expect great things from them. And what better place to discuss their achievements than the Battle of Brightmoon? Queen Angela, briefed on scout reports that the Horde's massed army was on its way to attack, summarizes the coming battle's importance well.
We must protect Brightmoon at all costs. If the Moonstone is destroyed, there will be nothing left to stop the darkness.
So, it was clear to everyone that the Battle of Brightmoon was a must-win fight. Queen Angela, recognizing the gravity of the situation, would have surely rallied every soldier she had available to the Moonstone's defense. So, how many soldiers stood in defense of Queen and country? 0. Brightmoon didn't field a single soldier in the battle. Not even their general, who was present at the briefing and quite happy to raise her hand against the Horde earlier in the season, took part in the fighting. We don't get any mention of where the army might be or where the general might have gone. In fact, from the way they talk about whether She-Ra can take the Horde army on alone, it's as if defending themselves against an army with an army isn't even an option. Not one the writers want you to be thinking about, anyway. Yes, the case of the missing army is a mystery that I think we're going to need to put on our doy list hat to solve. I just can't think of any in-universe explanation that isn't going to be painfully contorted. So as much fun as it is to consider the show as a documentation of real events, we're going to have to look at She-Ra as a work of fiction, and consider why the writers would make the choices they did. As it happens, I do have an idea, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's consider the evidence, shall we? For all of the battles that happen over the course of the show, I can only think of 2 times we ever see a Brightmoon soldier actually ready for action. The first time was in Raz, in the first season, against Adora, in that army camp I mentioned earlier. Thinking she was a Horde spy, the soldiers surround and attack her. There's a brief clash of swords between Adora and the general before Adora makes her escape. It's not a lot of action, but in the scene we do get to see the sorts of weapons used by Brightmoon. Swords, staves, and bows. The second instance was in Pulse, in Season 4, as the rebellion is tracking a weapon that the Horde is supposedly moving. We see 5 Brightmoon soldiers, 2 princesses, Adora, and Bo attack a single Horde vehicle, with Spinnerella disabling it and Natasa capturing the driver. Unfortunately for the rebellion, things don't go as planned.
It was an ambush! I hate ambushes!
Alas, the show cuts to the theme song right as the group gets ready to fight, and when we return, the team is already back at camp, a little worse for wear. Aside from that Season 1 clash with Adora, this is as close as a Brightmoon soldier gets to a fight. Mostly their job is to stand around in army camps, while the princesses and Bo go out to actually fight. Even when Horde Prime's forces attack the Resistance's camp, all we get to see out of those soldiers is them fleeing while our named characters fight the robots. But if Bo gets to fight, then why not those nameless soldiers? Well, Bo is actually part of the problem. First off though, consider the equipment each side uses to fight. Brightmoon soldiers wield medieval weapons that rely on muscle power to hurt the enemy. Horde soldiers, on the other hand, have far better gear. Laser batons allowing them to dish out pain with the pull of a trigger. Body armor to protect them against attack. Robots with thick metal skin, and battle tanks with massive cannons and heavy armor. The disparity in gear between the two sides is immense, and by all rights there should be nothing the Brightmoon army can do against the Horde. But, despite the technological disparity, we know that non-princesses are able to fight and win against the Horde. Bo foils them time and again with his bow, Seahawk has taken robots down with a sword, and even when she loses her connection to She-Ra, we see that Adora is still able to take out swarms of bots with her staff. Bows, swords, and staves. Exactly the 3 weapons we've seen Bright Moon soldiers carrying. And this is why Bright Moon's army can never actually fight against the Horde. Because by everything we've seen in the show, they can win. You don't need to be a princess to fight. We even had an episode where that was, dare I say it, the moral. If the show lived by that moral, though, it would be disastrous for the Horde's image. It's one thing for a rare named character to be able to dig down deep and overcome the odds, but it's another thing entirely for an army of nameless soldiers to do the same. Nor can they make Bright Moon's army lose. Remember, Bo's just some guy who taught himself archery. Seahawk is kind of a lovable loser. And without her powers, Adora is just a prodigy of a cadet. I mean, Huntara was on the same level with her. If the Horde so consistently gets trounced by fighters like these, then what does it say if Bright Moon's soldiers lose? Because the Horde has been written as able to be beaten by non-powered characters, the writers can't let them clash against Bright Moon. One side or the other would have to be revealed as being far weaker than they should be, and that's just bad writing. Let the heroes be heroes, and let the viewer's imagination slot the Bright Moon army exactly where it should be. Weaker than the Horde, but still capable soldiers. What do you think about the power levels of our heroes? Do you like the bananas strength our normals ended up with? Or did you prefer the more grounded power levels of the earliest episodes? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more cartoon videos.